Hello everyone, and welcome to Redbus US channel. In this video, we'll look at the weekly updates on employment digital migration for the week of May 18th to 23rd. We'll cover quite a few topics around adjustment of status, EB2 numbers, H1B 2027 numbers, quite a few of these. That's what we'll cover. So this is how the agenda looks for this week. The key topics that we will cover. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, do subscribe for getting regular updates. We do this every week so that you don't have to really look at what's happening, and once a week you tune in and you could see everything. Do subscribe so that you can get this updated. So the big news, we did a separate video on this as well, but this was probably the biggest news of this week. This is something that was released on May 22nd. USCIS released a new policy memo and also a press release, that changes how the adjustment of status applications will be, assessed or adjudicated by USCIS. There is a big change. When I say the big change, what as per the press release, they say that people who are already in the US and for whom consular processing is available should go there and get the green card instead of doing adjustment of status. That's what the press release says. But the policy action memo is basically doesn't have that kind of political statement around that. But it talks about what they're trying to do with the policy. There will be more scrutiny on them, and how how they will assess, basically looking at positive, negative factors, and all of that. So the crux of this is basically adjustment of status is treated as an extraordinary relief, discretionary relief. What it means is that USCIS has the discretion to give adjustment of status or not, and they will look at totality of circumstances, why somebody applied, and positive and negative factors, and it's going to be case by case basis. So the press release is more alarming, compared to the memo. Memo is more, looking at the ground reality, like what it is. So that's what it is. So we have done a separate video on this entire topic. It's a very detailed one, so it's very too short to cover here. So please, I suggest you check that video. It's on our channel as well. Again, change of status is not impacted as well. Only so change of status means that, let's say you are in the US on an F1 visa or H4 visa, and you want to go to basically H1B or other type of visas. That is still it is not impacted. It's only adjustment of status that's impacted. So just to summarize, right, who's impacted is, more impacted or less impacted is if you're in dual intent visa status like H1Bs, L1s, right, where you have dual intent, basically you would have less impact. But unlike if you're going to be part of a non-dual intent visa, then you're more impacted, F1, B1, B2, J1. And the reason for that is when you're given F1 visa or a B1 visa, there is a thing that the consular officer looks at, that you are going to return to your home country after your program is done or after your visit. But what you're doing is, when you do this and applying for a green card, the original intent has changed. So that's why there is going to be more scrutiny. You need to really put a lot of positive discretionary factors for that. So we've written an article as well, outlining all these, how a sample RFE looks like. So I highly suggest you check those video as well as article that we go into the depth. That's what it is, right? So overall, it's going to be having a huge impact. And again, this is something that's not fully clear yet. Many people are waiting. There will be lawsuits on this, so we'll have to wait and see how this is a completely developing story. So talk to your attorney, and then take a assessment. Do not be in panic. This is something that Trump administration usually does it on a Friday evening, so that there is some chaos on that. So that is similar to 100K thing, all of that. So don't panic. Just give it time, and then take it from there. So let's see what happens, right? Yeah. So the second one is the big news is basically the EB2. These related to green cards. EB2 India for FY 2026, the limit has reached. Essentially, all the green cards for country cap of India are exhausted, meaning it will not be available for EB2 applicants anymore. So from now until the clock resets for this, or the limit resets on October 1st, no visas will be able to, no green cards can be given to EB2 applicants with a country of birth as India. So this was announced by Department of State in the travel.gov website. So again, there's not going to be movement if you're an EB2 applicant. I guess just just don't look. No point in looking at visa bulletin as well. Also, just to give an important thing, is that the dates are retrogressed. Actually, if you look at our last week video, the dates retrogressed. In fact, basically that also prior date went back, so it's going to impact that's update here. Then retrogress to September 2020, 2013. That's what happened in the June visa bulletin. So that's what we covered. So that's what it means, right? The third biggest update that we have is on the H1B 2027 numbers. There is no official update on the website update yet, but they're given a preview. This is a Facebook post that USCIS put on their Facebook page. So these are some of the preliminary numbers what that they shared. We'll get more details later, but at the moment, what they say that is for FY 2027. There is about a 38.5%, close to a 40% drop in the H1B visa applications that are submitted for this, And the main reason for this is basically all the people who are outside of the US are now subject to 100K fees. And also there is a wage thing that has come in. So all of these added up, right? So they dropped from 343,000 to 211,000. In fact, we predicted between 200,000 to 50,000. So we're kind of in the predictions pretty much came true because of all these. So I guess essentially. There are a few rules that have changed in the last couple of years. One is the beneficiary-centric process, where there is no incentive for have multiple offers. There is less. So less fraud has come down. The second one now this year is the 100,000 fee. Rule that still is intact, that one, and combine that with the wage-based weighted lottery, and all of these added up, and that's why you see a 38.5% drop. And also what they say is, the US master's degree applicants selections are basically went up from 57% to 71.5%, which is a 14.4% increase. And the lowest wage level one applicants who've been selected is only 17%. So this also tells that they're just trying to make a point that the changes that were done for this fiscal year are really working, and they're trying to pick people who are more qualified with better salaries. That is the whole idea about that. So we'll see more numbers once these things come out, but these are the prelim numbers, right? Again, the third or the last topic that usually that we cover is in the H1B H4 visa slots. So no bulk slots were released at India consulates. This probably the third week we didn't had any bulk slots, so it's been kind of stuck like that. There are some ghost slots, we see one here and there, but not much is happening. So the key message here is if you're going to be traveling, ensure that you already have a slot, but irrespective of that, do not travel, because there are unless it's really, really like emergency for you, avoid travel because of the challenges that, because we just saw something new that come up last week. So, imagine you travel and now you have an advanced parole, you're going to have challenges because, how they will treat all of that, we don't know. So anything can happen, right? That's why do not travel. That's the general guidance, right? And what's ongoing, what's not changed. We're still waiting on the duration of status rule for F1. The signature is intact. Still the ICE OPT fraud crackdown is happening across 8 states. FBA rating is also active. There's no movement on the H1B Abuse Act, and the Texas probe is also continuing. So these are some of the things that are ongoing. Some of these, that we covered in the last few weeks. So what's happening with that, right? So overall, folks, key takeaways in employment-based immigration for this week is on May 22nd, there's a policy memo that came in and it's effective immediately. It primarily impacts adjustment of status applications. They're saying only extraordinary cases will be considered, and it's up to the discretion of USCIS. We've done a full video on that. Watch that again. So they have not changed the INA, but the ANS adjustment of status still remains a legal pathway. But it's just that there's going to be more, discretionary factors, positive ones that you had to provide to get that thing right. And there'll be more scrutiny for non-immigrant visas that do not have dual intent, like F1, B1, B2s. Again, the idea is people are trying to abuse this particular B1, B2s, where there's somebody who comes in and then they marry somebody and then go to, get a green card, right? So I think they're targeted towards that, but again, employment-based also fall into that, unfortunately. So all of these are, that's what's happening. So EB2, limit is reached for 2026, no more. So EB2 dates will not be moved for India. And H1B 2020 numbers came out, they dropped by 38.5%. Which is huge because of all the 100K fee, the changes in wage-based lottery system, all of these, right? So that's what's happening, and no movement in slots. So that's the key takeaways from this week, folks. So thank you for tuning in. Do subscribe for getting regular updates. We try to post this every week. Thank you for watching. Do subscribe again.